Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hello everyone, Craig here with another great business to discuss on this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guest is Neil and he's selling his SaaS business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. So welcome to the show, Neil, and how are you doing today?
Thank you. Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. So we'll talk more about your business, but before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of the business. So we have a SaaS business in the books niche created in February 2019. The average monthly revenue for the business is $22,824, and it makes an average of $17,964 net profit each month. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 48832 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that I've given a general overview of the business, let's have a look at what's included in the sale. So we have the domain and all site content and files, source code, host win server with an AWS server as well, and an email list with 17,000 subscribers. Okay, Neil, now let's hear from you. Can you tell us a little about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, so I have been involved in internet marketing, if you will, probably for 8 to 10 years now. I got started back in college, dabbled a little bit in everything, affiliate marketing, YouTube, selling on Amazon, print on demand, a lot of different avenues, and kind of landed on SaaS because I was selling on Amazon with private label, dealing with foreign suppliers and staying up till all hours of the night, and finally decided, hey, I need a tool for the business that I was running previously, and that kind of morphed into SaaS, which is where my heart has been for the last 3 to 5 years. So recurring revenue is the name of the game, and that's kind of where I transitioned to.
Excellent. So you mentioned you've been in SaaS for 3 years. Have you run other SaaS businesses, or is this your first one?
Yeah, so I've run a few SaaS businesses, all in kind of different spaces that I was involved in the affiliate marketing space. But this is definitely not my first rodeo.
Okay, and what made you come up with the idea to start this business in particular?
Yeah, so for this business in particular, I was selling on Amazon. So I was selling books through Amazon, and I was spending a lot of my time trying to create these books and get them, optimized correctly, as well as figure out what customers on the other side of the screen, shoppers on Amazon, are actually looking for. And that was taking up way too much of my time. So we decided to sit down and figure out, okay, how can we speed this up? I am not by any means someone who can create these books quickly. Is there a way to make this process a lot smoother and kind of streamline the process of getting these books up for sale that people actually want to buy? So that is kind of the foundation of why we started this business.
Excellent. Sounds like it would be quite a common problem for people like this SaaS, which is always a good foundation to build a business on. So how does the business primarily make money?
So primarily it is through a subscription service. It is a SaaS. So there are, monthly subscriptions as well as annual subscriptions. And this brings in MRR, monthly recurring revenue, every single month.
Okay. Back to when you first started this business, what sort of feedback have you had from customers when you first put out this SaaS? Did you get some positive responses?
Yeah, so we got a lot of positive responses as well as a lot of really good feedback of, hey, here is what I'm currently struggling with in the same business. Is there a way that you guys can help? So when we first started and launched the business, we got really good feedback from the first customers, but it also gave us a lot of ideas to implement. So over the last, the first year that the business was operating is kind of when we decided to take all that feedback and actually act on it and add to the software. So we have added a lot of different tools for sellers that are selling these books on Amazon. And I would say for the last 6 to 8 months, we really haven't added anything else. I think the SaaS is pretty much complete at this point, but we've added a lot of tools that came directly from customer suggestions.
Excellent. And in the last 6 to 8 months when the SaaS has been running pretty smoothly, have you been able to focus on any marketing efforts?
Yeah, so in terms of marketing, we basically just focused on organic. So that is going to include, really long form, in-depth, kind of hand-holding article marketing, if you will. And that has been very, very successful. It's where most of our traffic comes from, directly to the homepage of the website. And then from there are some free tools. So organic marketing with content showing them, hey, here is how to run this business successfully by using the SaaS, as well as offering a few free tools to bring people in the door. So we focused on those, but right now the business is kind of running almost hands off. We don't really spend that much time on it each week or each month. It's complete. It's kind of running almost on autopilot. I don't want to say full autopilot because it does require, answering some help tickets, answering some emails. But other than that, we haven't really done that much marketing outside of that space.
Okay, and the pricing models that you have for this business, do you find that customers respond well to that? Do you get a lot of upgrades and continuing customers?
Yeah, so I think the pricing model for this particular business is pretty dialed in. I mean, there are some things that a new buyer could look at for sure, raising the price, dropping the price. But we found with this specific business model, selling on Amazon, these different kind of books that don't really require you to have a bunch of money up front, works really well because a lot of these people are just getting started making money online. So we found that if we can teach them how this business model works through the organic marketing and these free tools to give them a little bit of a boost, give them something that they can put on Amazon, that if we don't charge them too much up front, that they will stay with the software and keep building out their business.
Absolutely. Well, overall, it sounds like you've got a pretty solid business here that's seeing some growth. It's doing really well. How come you're selling it at this point?
So me and my business partner are looking to get into real estate. Real estate requires a lot of upfront capital, so that's what we're looking to put it towards.
Okay, so back to the history of the business. We talked about everything that's worked. Is there anything that you tried with this business that didn't work for you?
Honestly, not really. The first attempt really was kind of based on the organic marketing, and that worked really well. So what didn't work is that I don't think we actually tried anything else. So for a new buyer, that would probably be a huge opportunity, is to try some other avenues, maybe try some paid ads, maybe try some other marketing strategies, because what we found was our first attempt did work, funny enough, and it's worked really well for us. So we really haven't branched off into any other strategies in order to grow the SaaS.
Okay, and in that vein, what do you think are the main opportunities for growth, maybe even outside of marketing? What does the scalability of this business look like?
So I think this is actually extremely scalable, this particular niche within books. A lot of people who are even familiar with Amazon on the business side, I don't really think know about. So for a new buyer, probably the biggest growth opportunity is making sure that people who are already selling on Amazon, so people who are doing FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, people who might be selling other types of goods via them fulfilling orders themselves, getting them to know that this business opportunity does exist on Amazon. So that would probably look like outreach to maybe affiliates, but definitely people who are producing content on selling on Amazon, so YouTube, blog posts, and stuff like that. I think that is probably the number one way to actually grow the business for the new buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely sounds like a viable strategy. So back to the day-to-day maintenance of this business, what sort of work do you do?
Yeah, so for the day-to-day, very, very easy. All you really have to do is answer a few emails that come in. Most of the emails don't actually come through an email. They come through a help desk. So all you'd be doing each day is kind of answering some tickets through the help desk. And all the tickets are usually asking, hey, how does this particular thing work? Or can I do this in this module inside of the software? So that is fairly straightforward and really is all we do day to day because the SaaS is already built out. And that probably takes just a few hours per week. So it's really not that time intensive currently.
Okay, and what skills or requirements do you think there are for someone who isn't familiar with this niche or business model?
So biggest skill probably being familiar with Amazon. That's going to come down to, hey, can you show the user of the software through either, a video or a blog post, how to use each module. That's fairly straightforward, something can be learned very quickly. But also, I think the potential buyer would need to have an understanding of how optimizing a product works in keyword research. So essentially being able to explain to customers that come through the SaaS, hey, if you put a product on Amazon, here's how to craft a good title. Here's how to craft some bullet points for the product when it shows up. So just being familiar with keywords in general. I mean, if anyone has an affiliate marketing background, which I assume a lot of buyers on Empire Flippers do, this would be very, very easy to take over. But just having a general understanding of the Amazon ecosystem and how to, pick out keywords that buyers are searching for on Amazon would be helpful.
Okay, and with the software, will there be a developer as an employee included, or will the buyer need some developer experience or need to be in touch with the developer?
Yeah, so right now, there's really no developing required. We don't have a developer that we can pass on. However, I do have experience in software for the last 3 to 5 years, and we'd be happy to refer someone that could work part-time on the software. So that shouldn't be an issue if the potential buyer would need someone to do some changes or something like that.
Excellent. I'm sure that'll make them feel at ease. So what do you think are the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
Biggest risks are that I think that number one is that you constantly need to make sure that with software, at least, that people are using the software and actually building their business. Because if someone signs up for a software and then you never interact with them, you never send them an email, eventually they're going to churn. So the biggest risk is probably buying it and then doing nothing with it. On the flip side of that, to fix that issue, to make sure customers aren't churning off, the buyer would want to communicate with the customers. I know that sounds fairly straightforward, but I've seen it happen where people don't do that. So, I mean, the biggest thing there is just, sending emails to the email list we have every once in a while and making sure that, hey, yes, you are looking out for them. You are putting out some content every once in a while. So that's probably the number one thing that I would make sure to do for the new buyer.
Yeah, excellent. So that's your email list of 17,000 subscribers, and I guess that presents a marketing opportunity for a buyer as well.
Yeah, it sure does. I mean, some of those subscribers are part of the software, but other people in that list are not part of the software. They're just interested in the business model. So that allows you the opportunity to, each time you write a piece of content or you put out some form of, video perhaps on this subject, you can actually send it to them and help them along their journey. Because if they are going to make money on Amazon, eventually they're probably going to come over and start using the software, making their life a lot easier. And that's good for you as the software owner. So it's a win-win situation there.
Yeah, and you mentioned there's some content on your site. Are you still regularly producing content, or do you outsource that?
Yeah, so I produce the content on the website, never really outsourced it, but we don't produce that much content. It might be a blog post or two per month, so it's really not that much. But what we try to do is each time that I sit down to write something, I try to make sure it's really specific so that the customer or the potential customer, anyone really interested in the business model, can sit down, read the article from front to the end, and actually learn something they can implement in their business. So we don't produce a lot of content, but we try to make sure the content is really, really good. I think that is something that has definitely helped the business overall. I know that most people listening to this have probably heard that content is king, but funny enough, that tends to be true if you really put a lot of time and effort into making sure that the content is very, very helpful for the end user.
Absolutely, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Putting everything basically we've talked about together, putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
So in the shoes of a buyer, the business is definitely worth buying because right now it's very stable. It is growing slowly. It requires very, very little work to maintain. And most of all, I think that if a buyer comes in and actually has the time to spend on the business, growing it, there's so many marketing opportunities to actually really, really, really grow the business. Right now, personally, since I have a lot of other stuff going on, we're trying to get into real estate, as I mentioned, I just don't have as much time to dedicate to the business as I would like. So right now, it only takes a few hours a week to respond to help tickets and so on. But if a buyer comes in and actually spends a normal, work day working on the business, promoting the business, I think there's a lot of room for growth there.
Absolutely, yeah. It sounds like a fantastic business. I'm sure if you weren't getting into real estate, you would continue on with it. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So regarding the sale of the business, would you commit to a non-compete?
Yep, that shouldn't be an issue.
Okay, and how much support are you willing to offer buyers? Are you going for the standard 30 days of email and Skype support?
Yep, standard support. I mean, I'm going to be here to make sure that the transition is smooth. So really anything that the buyer would need, within reason, of course, shouldn't be an issue at all. I'm pretty much always available.
Absolutely, that's great to hear. So are you open to negotiating something like an earnout?
So ideally, because we want to get into real estate that requires a lot of cash up front, I would definitely prefer all cash up front. But it is something that, we could discuss, but just know that, within reason, that's really not something that we are looking for at this time.
Okay, that's fair enough. Is there anything else you'd like to share that I might have missed?
I don't really think so. I mean, the business itself, just to wrap it up, the business itself, very stable, doesn't require very much time. If a buyer comes in, or if we were to keep the business and actually spend, a normal workday on it, there's definitely a lot of growth opportunities, but it does make very good money for what it currently is, a pretty passive SaaS business. And it was built on organic marketing. So anyone that comes in and is looking for something that they can, take over and market themselves through content or videos or reaching out to affiliates, I think this is definitely something they could run with and succeed.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time, Neil. It's been great talking to you.
You as well. Have a good one.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 48832. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy a digital journey.